Coming up this week on Digital Lifestyle Show 877, Richard's here and he's live from Florida waiting for a rocket launch. He may explain to why he's still waiting for it and hopefully when it's going to go. We've got Windows Inside he used to talk about. You can think like Task Manager. We've got some smart home stuff, some lights. I've got some updates on a bit of DIY soldering I've been doing. Lots more. So let's get straight to Richard. Richard, good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome back. But as you pointed out before, you're not back, but welcome back to the show.
Indeed, yes. I'm currently in Florida, about to get on a bus to go and watch a rocket try and launch, or not launch, who knows.
So just recap on where you are with this rocket launch, because this has been mentioned a few times on the show recently.
Yeah, so this is NASA's new space launch system, which is going to be launching the Artemis 1 mission to the moon. It was supposed to go during the summer, didn't go because of leaks and problems with temperature sensors. They think they fixed everything. They rolled it out to the pad. It's a giant rocket. It looks, I mean, if you're familiar with the space shuttle, it won't surprise you to know it's got a big orange fuel tank, 2 white solid rocket boosters, and 4 special space shuttle main engines at the base of it. They rolled it out to the pad, and then a hurricane hit it. Hurricane Nicole blew through last week, which was very entertaining. But what's interesting is, while me being a Brit, it seemed terrifyingly strong and alarming and scary. Talking to the locals around here, they said, well, it's just a storm, it's fine, it could worse. So, that appears to be the attitude regarding the rocket. It's a case of, yeah, it seems to be all right, actually. I mean, there are lots of doom mongering, but it appears that it's not many bad things have happened to it. I mean, I think there's some insulation being stripped off the Orion capsule, which they say is not a constraint for launch. And they had some problems with an electrical connection between ground equipment and the rocket, which, again, there's redundancy, and they think that problem's fixed as well. So, yeah, at the moment, they're all on track to launch it. I think it's 6:04 GMT tomorrow, so, or about 1 o'clock US time or Eastern time where I am. So, yes, they take us by bus to the press science at 5 o'clock, and then we sit and wait for a long time.
So it's what? It's 5 o'clock your time in the evening.
That's right, and then so we then go and we sit and we wait for. I mean, there are buses at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock.
Right.
But you have to really be on the 5 o'clock one, otherwise you won't get a seat in the press area. And then so a bit of inside knowledge there. And then you sit around for 8 hours, and then the window opens at 1 in the morning, and they have 2 hours to launch it before the window closes. And that window is governed by where the moon is, and also there's various cutouts where they want to make sure they don't hit any passing satellites overhead when they launch Orion. So, but they're going to start fueling it in the next hour or so. They'll start putting fuel in. They're going to try and fuel it slower than before. They call it a gentler fill, because last time round they accidentally overpressurized the fuel lines. This thing runs on liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen, and as many people know, liquid hydrogen is just a nightmare material fuel to deal with. It just, you get a big bang for your buck, but it's so hard to deal with, which is why many rockets run on things like kerosene and stuff.
Right.
But they'll start fueling it very, very carefully, and if they can get it to the point where the tanks are full and they're being just replenished, which is a term familiar to anyone who remembers the shuttle days, then they go ahead and they turn on the rest of the rocket, and then they'll hopefully go ahead and launch it. Third time lucky.
Right, and there's so many variables, isn't there, to actually get this thing going?
Oh, there are, and it's so late as well. I mean, this is years and years and years late. I mean, I think it was supposed to go in 2019. First of all, it's now 2022, and it's still not gone. But it's fantastically complex. Which, I mean, it shouldn't be as hard as it is, because one of the selling points of it is that it's based on space shuttle tech. It's using space shuttle engines, space shuttle boosters. A lot of it should be familiar to NASA from the old days, but unfortunately it appears maybe there's been some institutional forgetfulness. Perhaps it's all just a little bit too different. But they do appear to be struggling to get to this point, even though it's stuff that they in theory have done before. So quite why it's proving to be quite so difficult, I'm not quite sure. Apart from, obviously, it is a massive rocket. I mean, I took a bus tour around it on Monday, and it's just fast. You can't really believe this thing is going to get launched. I think it's more powerful than a Saturn V.
Wow, so it's hard to comprehend, isn't it? From just like you explained to me now, the size of it.
Yeah, it is hard to get your head around just how big it is. And it's a bit like when you go to the Kennedy Space Center, you kind of when you go to the Space Shuttle Atlantis exhibition, you go underneath some mocked up rocket boosters, solid rocket boosters, and an external fuel tank. And it's only then you really get a feel for how big these things are. They're just, they are enormous, absolutely enormous. So seeing it on the pad, it's a vast thing. And of course, this is just Artemis 1. The later ones, will have I think a lengthened upper stage, which will be used to send more payload, because at the moment it's just sending the Orion capsule and the European service module around the moon. I think later versions are supposed to send up more stuff. So yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it will make a big noise when it goes, and it will turn night into day when it goes up, hopefully. And as I say, it's supposed to go up tomorrow morning, so UK time. I guess by the time this goes out, it will have gone or not gone.
Yeah.
My prediction, and I hope I'm wrong, is that they'll fill it up. It won't leak, but there'll be another problem they'll encounter, and then on the 19th they'll go. That's my prediction, but we'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope when I speak to you next year, and you can say, it went. I say, yes, it did.
And are you staying now till it launches, or is this your last sort of window?
It's kind of my last spin. I'm going to stay as long as the 19th. The problem is if they don't go on the 19th, I'm not quite sure when they would go next. There's a date the week after, but I think it depends in what way it fails. If it doesn't go, the reason why they have to scrub it. So, and the problem they've got is if it doesn't go in November, then they really have to roll it back to the assembly building again. They can only do, I think, one more rollback before they've got to redo the crawlaway, because there's from the giant vehicle assembly building to the pad, there's like a gravel track called the crawlaway, which is where the Saturn V's and the space shuttles all used to go along. The problem is you have to renew that stone every few goes, and they're getting to the point where they can't. I don't think they can run the crawler and the rocket on this track more than one more time, so they have to redo the track. The other problem is the rocket itself. The solid rocket boosters began being stacked in 2020, so it's getting old. These things can't stay stacked forever. The European service module was fueled up in November last year, so again, it's like this stuff is starting to get. You kind of need to launch it, or you're going to have to do a lot of recertifying to make sure the parts are still okay. So, yeah, it's all getting a bit tense here now. The other thing NASA won't say is how often they can fuel and defuel the tank, because this stuff is like, it's cryogenics. It's really, really cold. It causes the tanks to expand and contract as they get filled and emptied and what have you. And there's only a finite number of times you can do that before you have to throw the tank and stuff out again. So it's all starting to get a bit close to the wire now. So I'm hopeful for their sake it's going to go today, or not today, tomorrow morning my time. Or if not the 19th. If it doesn't go, then we'll see what happens next. It's going to be interesting. Although, actually, Ian, one thing that may interest you is at Kennedy Space Center, there's a whole load of simulators and things there as well, which you can play on, and toys. I happened to see one that crashed, and I'm pretty sure it was running Windows 2000.
Wow, that's been a retro throwback.
So there we go.
I was going to say, every time they bring back this rocket, do they have to do all the Windows updates and everything on it again, which really knocks them back a while?
You know what? I have no idea what. I suspect it's some sort of real-time operating system. They wouldn't allow anything like Windows in there, I expect.
Yeah, and then when they try and launch it, is that patch that we installed last week doesn't allow you to launch anymore? You can't print and you can't launch with that patch installed.
Yeah, I kind of hope NASA's got a bit of a better quality, a bit of a better approach to quality than Microsoft has, that's for sure. Can you imagine?
Well, it's great. And I've seen you tweet about it a few times. Is that the best place to follow your ventures on this?
Yes, at Richard_Speed on Twitter. I will basically be live tweeting what happens over the next 8 hours or so. So there'll be lots of things. Still sitting, waiting, having a Coke, waiting some more Coke, waiting, bit of sugar, waiting. Oh, it's scrubbed.
And of course, between you leaving the country and today, I think Twitter is it could be on its last legs. It might even be a thing by the time you get back.
Yes, next time I might be giving my Mastodon address.
Yeah, well, I've got one, but I haven't used it. But like everybody else, I set one up actually last week, I think
Yeah,
it was, and I
me
haven't
too.
figured out yet how to get started on it. But yeah, seeing all uh, the things going on there, is kind of thinking, is this the end of the platform, which I've quite enjoyed using for the past whatever years. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
as fun as it used to be, but yeah, it's quite. It's sad, really.
I mean, it is really sad because I mean, I've made some really good friends on it. I mean, yes, there is a lot of. It's always been quite toxic, but equally, I've made some good friends on it. I know some people here actually who are doing the NASA socials and things who are uh, generally upset about what's happening because that they've spent 5-10 years carefully building up a presence and making friends and connections and network, and suddenly it's just being torn down, and it feels like almost overnight how fast it's happening. So. Yeah, I mean, Twitter's I guess it is a week by week thing, isn't it? I guess we'll know more next week, but right now it's feeling like we are in the end days, which is, I think, really sad.
Yeah, like you said, I enjoyed the community side of it, and it, got a nice filtered view of, and yeah, in the early days it was probably a bit more exciting because you got the communities in it, and it was less about just general social media, But yeah, I kind of think I would certainly be pretty lost without it, because I do find it quite handy for catching up with things, and like you're doing with your stuff, and even it's just
Yeah,
getting Windows Insider build news, or new synth launches. I just find it quite handy for stuff like that. I've got it pretty well. I've got my followers, who I follow down, so it's a nice clean feed most of the time. So yeah, it would be a shame if it goes. I'm not quite sure whether what is it going to be? LinkedIn. I can't see that taking over somehow. Can you? Is that what Microsoft's hoping?
well, LinkedIn, no, sorry. LinkedIn, no. Goodness me, no. But again, I mean, if you try and use something like Mastodon, then you do realise how important a centralised system is, because Mastodon, the joy of it is it's decentralised, but that makes it really hard to find things and know where you should be. It's not as easy to get into as Twitter is or was, I think. I mean, there are lots of guides out there to help you get started in Mastodon. I mean, I think Ed Bott did a superb one recently, but again, it is quite a jarring experience if you're used to how Twitter works.
Yeah, and of course, when we started this show, Twitter wasn't a thing anyway, so.
Exactly. You've outlived it, Ian. You've outlived it.
Yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah. So maybe people go back to RSS and blog posts and a bit more as well. So you never know. RSS was always the thing I liked. Yeah. So maybe on some of the tech things. One of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago from your post is you've got Project Valterra on the way. I guess it's at your house, waiting for you to unbox it.
It's currently sat on my desk. Yeah, I've gone from being one of the first people to receive one to, I think, I could be the last person to actually unbox it and use it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. As long as you know what it is, it's basically a Windows and ARM device. But all of my tech contacts have said it's just amazing. It's a really good machine. It works really well, as long as you understand that it's Windows and ARM and don't expect all your Intel stuff to work wonderfully well. And they'll work, but not as good as they could do.
Yeah. So I bet that's one thing you're looking forward to.
Yes, I mean, hopefully next Tuesday, because I should be back on Tuesday. I would have unboxed it and I would be speaking to you via the Valterra box.
Oh, that'd be interesting if that to get that working. I just think it's a shame that they didn't make a little Surface Go type thing power off one of them. I would have been all in on that.
Yeah, and it's also a shame that they call it the dev kit or dev box, because it feels like it's almost a consumer PC, because it's just the spec is so good. I mean, even looking at it now, I think it's got 32 gigs of RAM. And it's a relatively inexpensive box of how much you've got in it. So yeah.
Well, hopefully that if it's successful, then they might look at that maybe future Surfaces will be based off what they've learned from that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping, and maybe that's why there wasn't a Surface Go 4 launched with all the other Surface devices, because they've got some ARM-based Surface in the pipeline that they're going to build off this. So let's hope so.
I do hope so, definitely.
Yeah. Because I still want a replacement for my Surface Go. I've got some traveling to do the next few weeks, so I'll be what device do I take to? And I've got my work laptop, but do I want to take this laptop studio? It's quite big to take when I've already got a laptop. So maybe I'm just going to try just with the Duo and a pen, a Surface Pen, and that will do me. So I've got a nice leather case for it as well. So hopefully at least you can travel light with that as well. So just a charger and thing. But yeah, it's not a replacement for a PC though, is it? But I'll have a work PC. But it's not.
Yeah.
A Surface Go would be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, today I was taking my ordinary Windows 11 laptop into the Pro Center with me because I've got an iPad with a keyboard, but yeah, it's just you can't replace that full Windows experience. No. That's the problem. You just can't really, or that full Windows. It could be also a MacBook would be the same as well, but I just don't think I can run everything off an iPad at the moment or a device such as an iPad.
No, definitely not. Yeah, it's when you come into, I find anyway, when you can do bits of things and then you want to do something really, you've got to really focus and get onto something technical. That's when you need a proper device.
Yeah, I think so. So, well, that's it. I mean, there has been some exciting stuff for Windows users last week. I saw, I think this happened just after last week's show, which is the iCloud integration is rolling out in the Photos app.
Yeah, I tried this a couple of weeks ago. Actually, it works quite well. So you need the iCloud app installing.
Yeah.
On your PC, and that's it really. And then you need the new version of the Photos app as well. Which I quite like the new version. It takes a bit of getting used to because it's multi-windowed and it's kind of what you expect from Windows. But it's taken me a while to get used to going back to that with the
for sure. Yeah, I had a play with it when it appeared on the inside of the chat channel, but I think it's a nice tool actually. I mean, unfortunately it's yet another thing that Microsoft doesn't seem to have pinned down a consistent user experience between all its various apps. But I did play with the iCloud integration in kind of production Windows, and I think it's probably more reliable than it was when it was inside a product. So perhaps they took some free feedback from insiders and tweaked it. I don't know, but it seems very stable.
Yeah, and they haven't gone crazy with a ton of functionality to it. It just works. It's pretty simple, but it works. Once you've got the app installed, you just go into your iCloud. You go into the Photos app, and your iCloud photos are there.
Yeah, exactly. It's just very seamless.
And I found it worked great for transferring to OneDrive as well to free up some space on iCloud.
But what do you think this means for things like your phone or phone link or whatever they call it today? Because I mean, obviously that the only thing that could do with iOS devices was photographs or pictures.
Yeah.
So is that even needed now if you've got an Apple device?
I think if you've got an Apple device, your phone isn't a great experience and never will be. And so I think this is a much better experience. If you're an Android user, then the phone link is, and Samsung user especially, the phone link is great. In fact, did you see the feature that they added for insiders last week? I think it was. I think I've got a video on that one as well, which has got the hotspot feature built in.
Is that Samsung only still?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So not Surface Duo, not Microsoft's own Android phone.
I haven't tried it, to be honest, because I've got my Samsung paired up with the insider build and my Surface with the non-insider build, so I haven't tried it yet. But it actually works really well. And as me and Gary were thinking, I'm sure this feature existed, we did get some comments, in fact, from last week's show, which was from a listener, in fact, from View on the YouTube channel, who said it was a thing. It was part of your Windows Phone. Yes, because with it, you don't even, once you've got it all set up, you don't need the phone link app. You just go into your Wi-Fi, where your list of Wi-Fi is. You'll just see your phone in there, even if the phone hotspot is switched off, and you click on it and it says turn on. You turn your hotspot on, and that's it. It just works. So it's not a huge revolutionary feature. It just makes it really easy. It just makes it really easy to see. So I've got it shared on the video there. You just it's just there. But that's exactly how it used to work on Windows Phone. I was thinking, I'm sure this thing exists already, but it was only for Windows Phone. So I quite like these little bits of integrations that they do. They just keep putting bits of them into FonLink. Yeah, like you said though, it would be they need to get it onto more devices.
They do really, and I mean, I still dream of one day that them being allowed to do iMessage in FonLink. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it's a shame. Day. Yeah, one day. The other new feature we got for because we didn't get a dev channel build last week.
No, not at all.
But we did get a beta build, and the beta build had the new task manager in there. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, it's quite a bit different, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and the main thing is the search,
filtering stuff. Yeah, the search stuff.
Yeah.
The filtering processes, which I think it makes life much easier because it can be quite bewildering when you look at it and think, well, okay, I've got to find my thing in here somewhere. Where is it?
Yeah, I think the new search is the new task manager. It does take a bit of getting used to when you're used to the old one, because the old one hadn't really changed that much. But now I've sort of got used to it. I'm okay with that. But having the search in there is handy, especially. I mean, I always just used to go to the details. You know, I think it's the details one, isn't it? And just sort it alphabetically and get the thing from there. But yeah, it makes it quicker to get. But it's interesting that how we're seeing the Microsoft move away, aren't we, from here's a dev build, here's all loads of new stuff, and we'll see you next week. And it's more like, well, here's a dev build, there's not much in this one. Here's a beta build, we've put some new stuff in it. Have a look, what do you think? And then it's
confusing.
Released. Yeah,
exactly. It's really confusing because you'd expect this stuff hasn't been in dev channel yet, and yet here it is in beta. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a different way of working. So.
Well, frankly, I still miss the Windows NT4 Task Manager. I'm just saying that was peak Task Manager because that would kill anything. Whereas the current Task Manager doesn't always kill things.
No, in fact, you're right, because the current one can get stuck itself from time to time, but nothing stuck the NT4 Task Manager.
Exactly. I'd recommend looking at a YouTube channel of a former Microsoft engineer called Dave Plummer, who did some work on Task Manager. In fact, I think Task Manager may have been his project. And it's interesting to sort of just listen to how he, how it does what it does.
Yeah, it's I was nothing ever could defeat Task Manager in Windows in NT.
NT4, exactly. Yeah. It was a beast. It killed everything.
yeah. So interesting changes to Windows, but I can understand doing the trickle thing, but it sometimes feels a bit of a letdown. You get a new build, and whereas, in the old days we used to go through the release notes and look at all these new things, or you just try it yourself and find loads of new things. Now it's not quite as exciting.
No, well, it's not. Although I mean, it's a shame Gary isn't here today because I kind of think there's probably a lot of things happening under the hood because the release notes for Windows or the Windows Insider blog, they never tell you the whole story about what's really happening because I mean. There has been the occasional, we've done a new release just to test out our servicing pipeline, and something breaks. You think, well, something's changed there then.
And of course, they do a lot of the things that get switched off, don't they? So, and then people dig about and find new features because I think we've seen new versions of the widgets and some things like this. Even the search box was available a couple of weeks ago if you knew which setting to flick on and off, which is definitely not recommended, but Microsoft shipped the code and then I think turn it on later. Yeah, actually one thing that did crop up that I did wondered if you saw, there was a bit of a hoo-ha about adverts in the start menu. Did you see that? I think that was last week.
I didn't see that, no. Although I mean, there's adverts everywhere in Windows now.
Yeah, well, it came out. I think it's a question of it's not quite as obviously the clickbaity headlines were Microsoft putting adverts on the start menu in Windows 11, and it wasn't actually quite as straightforward as that. A few weeks ago, Microsoft said that they could add notifications to the start menu. You know where the power is and your username is when you click on Windows 11. And if you've got a reboot pending, it will give you a little notification in there. But they said they've added some functionality. It was in one of the dev channels a few weeks ago that they can add messages in there if you need to say log off or if it's something like that. So of course, with them doing the A/B testing, nobody gets to see these features when they ship them in the release notes. But then last week, a few people had them popping up saying, with OneDrive messages in there saying you get extra storage with OneDrive in that list. So where you've got your power button, and I think it's where if you click on power, you've got sleep, restart, whatever. It would say get extra storage with OneDrive or something like that. Of course, Microsoft were testing this out, but then that gets turned into Microsoft filling the start menu and the power button with adverts, because it wasn't quite as simple as that. But yeah, they were trying it out.
Yeah. Yes,
I think sometimes to see how much they get away with.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ads per se, as in sort of,
no.
Have you tried our lovely matches? It's ads saying perhaps you want to go for these Microsoft features, but even so, it's still irritating.
Yeah, people do get very protective of those.
And people get very upset. Yeah. Yes, exactly. People get very annoyed by it. I mean, to be honest, I found the ones in File Explorer, which they did a few months back, more intrusive. So. Because it used up precious screen space in File Explorer, which I didn't want to use up.
Yeah, and this is it. This is the other consequence of them turning on and off features in dev builds, is that the release notes that they put out on the dev builds don't necessarily match up to they don't at all match up to what you get when you install the build.
No,
because
exactly.
Yeah, I forget which feature it was. I think it was something around the widgets, the full screen one. I think I got that sort of 3 weeks later or something like that. So it's really hard to keep on top of what's new, because what was new 3 weeks ago is now just hitting your machine, or you don't really know what's happening. And I think this A/B testing, I know people probably bore me going on about it, but I just think it makes things harder for Windows insiders to do testing.
I think it really does. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's if you're Windows Insider, you kind of want to be able to try things out as and when, not hope you actually get things turned on by Microsoft. But also, you need to be told by Microsoft, here's what's changed, so you know what to test. Anyway.
Yeah. Even if they had a little pop up on after restarting saying, we've enabled the following features. Try this out. Anything like that would help.
It would. It really would. But never mind.
I think some of the stuff I've been testing last week. Did I mention to you about the twinkly light panels? I don't think I did I?
I don't think you have. No.
No. So I've got them fixed up on the wall, so I can't show you. But actually, I think you can probably see one reflected. No. Oh yeah. No, it's not really reflecting light on there. But I've got one of the twinkly light panels. I think you can see it reflecting there just above my thumb on there. But which is squares, LED squares. I don't know if you've seen these, and you get the app.
Oh yeah.
And you can program them. Have you seen them? Yeah. So you can have different things.
Yes,
so the panel that I've got is three squares, and you clip them together, and you can have them orientated however you want. And you actually, once you've assembled them, you do a scan with your phone, and it understands how you've positioned them, so it can optimize the display. So, and then of course you get all these different effects and that you can apply to them. So different things like that. But it's really good. I've been really impressed with that, and I thought about it for your train tube thing, because it would probably be a bit more easier. Is a higher resolution than getting loads of small LED screens to do, but I'm not sure how you control them individually.
I mean, I'm still trying to do my Doom thing, but I think maybe I should go back to doing the train thing first, and not sort of run before I can walk. Yeah,
I mean, there's some really good ones like that purple white one which I've got on there, all these different effects, and then you can create playlists, so it'll cycle through them. I did have one, some retro ones as well. I did one for when I'm doing my music. I don't know what I've done with it now, but I had a tape machine playing. I had the Running Man, which is quite good, which is that one, which I like. But I quite like these. So, in fact, I even had the Windows logo on there, which is mirrored up on there now as I'm doing this. But yeah, some good fun that. But so I did post a video review of that. But they also sent me some outdoor Christmas lights. So I have a rule no Christmas stuff before 1st of December. So no Christmas music, no Christmas lights, no mulled wine. You know, there's a line, and I've drawn, and it's the 1st of December. But of course,
are you taking part in Whamageddon this year?
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, probably. Exactly. I probably Whamageddon myself on the 1st. So
I don't do that.
But anyway, they sent me some icicle lights to do as well. So, but of course, I want to get the video done before. I can't leave that till the 1st of December. But that breaks my thing. So at the weekend, I had to put the lights up, do the video at night. On Sunday night, I filmed the results video where I went outside, did it, and now they're switched off again till the 1st of December as well.
Well done.
Yes, so a bit of willpower there. They're pretty good though, because they're like the icicle ones, but you've got the same effects that you can have on the LED one straight onto those as well, so you can control individual pixels. But it's using their app. It would be nice though if you could, say with the Pi, directly talk to these other things as well, so you can make your own stuff up. Because what I'd love is the one I've got in here is if I could connect it up to a MIDI interface and start real time doing stuff on that. So I did try playing about that with the Raspberry Pi, but I was trying to make a VU meter on the Raspberry Pi using an external sound card, and with Linux and Python, it's kind of pushing to the limits of my knowledge. So, but I did manage to get a VU meter working from the internal sound card with an on-screen display. So there's maybe a chance to do that, because I think I'd love to get some real light things. I'm sure you can buy all this, but I've got a few Pis knocking around and a couple of spare MIDI interfaces, so I must be able to come up with something to do that. Like I said, I got it working on in Windows, but the drivers are all Intel for the audio drivers, so I don't think I could put the Intel. I don't think I can put it on the Pi 400 without the right drivers for the sound card. So I've got to come up with some solutions for that. But yeah, I definitely like to get some of the lights and things in time with the MIDI, because I think that would look quite good in here. But anyway, I do like those twinklies. So they were really easy to set up. They're not cheap, but they are nice, and I think they do one. They do one for your Christmas tree as well, don't they? Where you can, and you don't have to position it any separate way, because it uses the camera to work out where you position the lights, which I think is quite good. But this LED panel is pretty fun, and there's some cool effects you can do that. The more panels you get, the better effects you can get. So I think that was pretty cool.
Sure. And speaking of Christmas, have you got yourself a Microsoft Clippy jumper on order yet?
No, I haven't. I've not bothered doing that. I have got a Windows XP one from last Christmas. So I think it was it was the XP one, wasn't it? So how many Christmas jumpers does a man need? I think maybe an XP one is enough. I don't want to upgrade too far. If they did a Windows NT4 one, I'd be all up for that one.
Yeah.
As we have all Microsoft should have stopped development after NT4.
NT4, well, I'd say NT351 was really the peak. NT4, we did okay, but
newfangled.
351 was the peak of Windows.
Yeah. Actually,
also, these days, horrifically insecure as well now.
Yeah, definitely. I did do a bit of electronics DIY over the weekend. Last weekend it was. My 1985 Yamaha DX100, the internal battery had gone. Not bad, 36 years for one CR2032 battery. So I eventually bought myself a solder sucker, desoldered the old battery, and fitted a new battery there, because those batteries are easy to get off Amazon. But I soldered in a battery holder instead of a battery, so that I can just pop the battery in. So in 36 years time, whoever owns this synth, then probably not be me by then, you never know, but can change the battery in there without any solder work. So
it'll still be you doing Ian's latest album on whatever Spotify becomes in 30 years time.
Yeah, that's right. Still with my one listener.
Hey, it's good. 2 listeners. I've listened to as well. It's a good album.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Actually, you know what? I found it was a really interesting process doing all that, publishing it. I've got the Spotify artist program thing that now, so I can see the downloads. So I've had a few hundred streams or something like that, and you can see where those streams are. You can see the age group. You can see why the record companies like all this data that they're getting. And I imagine they get, if the big artists probably get a huge amount of data, more than just the I would get. But it is quite interesting to see the demographic information and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's good fun. Maybe I'll have enough music for a second album at Christmas. Not a Christmas album, but
yes, not a Christmas album yet. No,
yeah,
no
I'm
one
not
needs
doing
one of those. That's fine.
No, I don't think there's anybody needs an ambient synth Christmas new wave synth wave album. That's definitely not.
Although you know what, I think in actual fact that may be the Christmas album that we all need, really. Sort of the usual dreadful noise. So wait, I've got a Christmas album choice. Ambient synth. Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe I'll include one of those for you. Yeah, so I know my soldering work it's held up. I powered it up, and it's still working. So I've got a bit of an appetite for that now. So maybe I'll start going through eBay listings of broken synthesizers, and I think you need a bit more technology to fix them.
You could have a whole YouTube channel career. Ian fixes broken music gear. Be great.
There's a lot of those, actually, believe it or not.
There are a lot, exactly. There's a lot of people fixing broken computers out there, but I don't think there's many that are fixing broken synths.
Yeah, I've watched a few, actually, in preparation for doing mine. And there was only one, something like 12 years ago, for this DX100, so I did do a video. I was doing the video thinking, if this doesn't work, no one's ever going to see this, because I'm certainly not going to upload me breaking a video of me breaking my synthesizers. That's a definite. But anyway, I uploaded that video on there as well, and in fact that goes along with my top video, I think, for the last 2 years has been people trying to get Korg drivers to work with Windows 10. For some reason, a lot of people having that issue. So it's either there's a lot of people having the issue, or I'm the only person that's done a video about how to fix it. So I'm not quite sure which way around it is, but there's a lot of people having issues.
You're probably the only person who's done an easily searchable video on how to find it.
Yeah, probably. So there's a lot of people watching that. So I've got so I think of any new videos now. So the twinkly one will probably be one of the new ones. The next video I've got, and I've got a new microphone as well to put a video of. It's got RGB on it. So it's a desktop microphone with RGB, because everything's better with RGB.
But isn't that what on a microphone? What?
Yes.
RGB.
Yes. It's RGB. Yeah. It's the. It's not plugged in at the moment. It's, this microphone bit is light up. It's RGB, and you can control it.
It really is. I thought it was some magical audio acronym. I thought, I know RGB means red, green, blue, but perhaps that means sort of a righteous, gruffle box or something. I've no idea what it is.
No, it's not an audio term. It's a microphone with RGB lights in it.
It basically lights up in an entirely pointless fashion, unless, of course, it changes colour if you're speaking too loud or there's distortion, maybe. That would be good. That
would be good, but I don't think it does that. It just cycles through colours.
So it's entirely pointless. Well done.
Yeah. It's a nice microphone. I did do some testing with it, and it's actually quite good quality. But I did a video, so you can judge yourself. But I like it lights up like everything else. So now I think I've got like coloured lights up there. So why not have I've got light strips and everything. So why not? It goes with everything else.
It's a full-on Dixon disco.
Yeah, that's right. I have got a disco ball somewhere.
No.
Yeah, someone once bought me one for a joke. So yeah, no, it's not. One of those ones that it was from Maplin about 15 or 20 years ago. It rotates round, so it's got colour lights inside it. It's one of them. Yes, there is one of them somewhere. And I did put it on a smart plug so that I could control it from a smart plug as well.
Well, I look forward to the Christmas show.
Oh yes, I could have it for that. Yeah. Well, yes, I did. Say what we've done. Turned it into a roller disco, but nobody in my family got the young ones joke. So.
Yes, that's that is a 40-year-old reference. And
yes, I know. Yeah. Well, I do like to keep things topical on this show.
Exactly, media centre.
Yeah. So with that, I think that's everything I've got for this week. I don't want to keep you too long because I know you want to get to the front of your bus queue for the bus.
I've got to get my bus queue, get the bus, sit in the press side, and start eating the sugar. Fantastic.
And what you don't want to do is fall asleep just as it gets to launch and sleep through it.
Back in 2008, I saw a space shuttle launch, and I deliberately dehydrated myself so I wouldn't need to go to the bathroom before I missed the launch or something. I had this ongoing nightmare. So this time around, I'm going to basically have lots of sugar and try and stay awake. Because yes, being asleep, I'm hoping my fellow journalists would wake me up, but we'll see what happens. But yes, it's been a very long time coming. It really has been a very, very long time coming.
Yeah, I think from the updates we've had, and we've talked about it while you've been away. It's like I feel like I want it to launch for your sake.
It's just yeah. I mean, it's so late. I mean, I think they began designing it back in 2010. So it's just so old. It really is so old. And it's I mean, just looking back, I'm actually looking back at my notes now from all the pieces I've written about it over the years. It's like they were hoping to launch it in 2018 was the first hoped for launch date, and it's like, no, it's now 2022, and there's every chance it won't work again. We'll see.
Well, we'll see. Well, we'll follow you on Twitter. Just remind us where that is again.
Yeah, you can find me at Richard_Speed on Twitter at the moment, and next week we shall have to exchange our alternative addresses.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, until then, we'll see you next week.
Cheerio.